Hi, this is Hyperloop Talks and is a social media event to highlight the experiences of individuals in the Hyperloop community, organized by Canadian Hyperloop Conference, which we will be referring to as CHC. And today I'm talking with Shelby. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi there. I'm Shelby Bone. I'm from the Edmonton area in Alberta. I go to the University of Alberta. I'm taking mechanical engineering. That's sort of it.
Perfect. Yeah, how did you get involved in Hyperloop?
Yeah, so I originally joined Albertaloop when I was in my first year of university. I thought it was really cool that they were, potentially going to go to the SpaceX Hyperloop competition. So I joined the mechanical team initially. I was working on sourcing parts for our chassis, and just other really low level stuff because you don't really know much when you're in first year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I started out.
So what attracted you to Hyperloop? Are these reasons still relevant? It's like a similar question.
Yeah. It was really important to me with my engineering career. I really want to work on things that are sort of brand new. I think that's what kind of drew me in to to begin with. And SpaceX also really interested me. I personally really wanted to work there before I realized that you can't if you're Canadian or not. But that's okay. I don't know. I think also just the fact that it offers sort of a clean transportation. I think as engineers, we all kind of have the responsibility with our knowledge to generate solutions to the climate problem in some way. So I thought it would be really cool to work on something related to that as well.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, because sustainability is really important these days.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty scary.
How did you get your current position in Hyperloop?
Yeah, so as I said, I started on the mechanical team, and then shortly later, I decided to kind of expand my horizons a little bit, and I joined the propulsion team. Really shortly after that, that team lead stepped down, so I took on the position sort of randomly. And I did that for about a year, and then our old club president graduated, so he was like, "Oh, do you want to take on the position?" So I was really grateful for that opportunity. It's been really cool getting to lead the group, I suppose. It's been neat.
Yeah, that's cool. So now we're going more in depth in like your experience. So who have been most memorable people in your life when it comes to the Hyperloop, and how have they helped you or affected you throughout?
Yeah, so I think for sure our old club president, Yan Zhao Yang, who actually founded the club, he really inspired me with his passion for Hyperloop and this type of technology. I didn't know him that well when I first joined the club, but I sort of got to know him once I became a team lead and started doing that more management type of thing. I learned a lot about, I suppose Hyperloop as a whole. I actually didn't know much about it when I joined the club, but also just in like management of a large project. I think he did a really good job just keeping everyone engaged and connected to the project. So, I would say Yan Zhao Yang was a really notable person for me.
Okay, that sounds great. So what are some difficulties you faced throughout your Hyperloop experience?
There have been a few. One, I'd say there's probably two main ones. The first one is funding challenges, which we're currently facing now. It just what we're building costs a lot of money to make, and it's difficult, right? And we're all students. We don't have time to write grant applications all day and do all of the technical work. So that's definitely been a challenge, but we're trying our best to kind of keep chugging along with it. And then also management of a large group can just be pretty hard. I think due to the diverse range of technologies that have to be incorporated together for Hyperloop, you're going to end up with a massive group of technical people and business people, and keeping them all connected and on the same page, I think can be really hard, especially virtually. Like we've operated most of our time as a club online due to COVID. So just keeping everyone connected and on the same page, I would say, is the other major challenge.
Yeah, I agree, because I'm also working online, so
Yeah, for sure.
for
It's not the
Hyperloop.
same over email. Like,
Yeah. Well, the next question is, how has your involvement in Hyperloop changed you professionally and personally?
yeah, so I think I've become much better at teaching myself stuff from nothing. I think throughout my life previously, all of my learning was in the classroom. I rarely actually sat down and taught myself anything, just with like a book or online. So I've had to do a little bit of that with Albertaloop. One really notable one was we realized partway through our design process with the propulsion team that no one really knew how to do the calculations for magnetic propulsion with our limb.
Oh,
So we all kind of had to just we put together a bunch of research papers that we were all going to read, and yeah, we just kind of hashed it out together. But it was super different from the type of learning I was used to in the classroom. So I think that's one thing that's changed about me, and I'm sure a lot of other members. And then yeah, also just time management, of course, as you'd expect, kind of trying to balance like the importance of school and getting good grades, but also keeping this project going and keeping everyone engaged, especially during midterms.
yeah.
And I think I've also gained a lot of like soft skills, like finding that balance between, having your voice as a leader and commanding the group, but also being able to take in input from everyone and rethink things and have multiple ideas going in your head. That's another thing I think I've really learned, especially as a team lead. Um, and yeah, I'm really grateful for all these skills. I think now I work um, in a co-op position as sort of like a student intern, and a lot of the skills that I use in my actual job now, I would say I learned at Albertaloop.
That's good. I totally agree while
Mm-hmm.
joining Hyperloop. Yeah. So what excites you most about Hyperloop and the Hyperloop community?
Um, well, I would say one really exciting thing about Hyperloops is obviously their high speeds. It would connect the world in a way that we've never really had before. I know personally with me, and I think literally everyone I know, no one
Mhm.
feels like they have enough time. So travel is often something that happens, somewhat seldom, I suppose, but much more than it happened in the past. But you can't really just zip over to BC super
Yeah.
quickly, Edmonton,
Mhm.
or Ontario.
Yeah.
So I think it's really exciting how that would encourage people to travel more and make it so that people can see each other over vast distances, sort of more easily. I don't know. I suppose it's like how our communication was sort of revolutionized when we switched from like literally like mail and phone to like internet. I feel like this is like almost the physical manifestation of that because we can like
Yeah.
actually physically be there super quickly. It's also cool seeing such a wide range of tech industries having to come together to make a product. Because yeah, I mean, you truly need like every type of thing. You need electronics, you need lots of mechanical, you need like pure engineering physics. It's really cool seeing all of them have to work together so closely, I suppose.
Yeah. So the next question is, how will Hyperloop shape your future? And do you see yourself being involved with Hyperloop later on?
Yeah, so I would say Hyperloop could definitely be something that shapes my future. I really enjoy the propulsion aspect of it specifically, and I don't think I would have been aware of magnetic propulsion at all if I hadn't worked on
Mhm.
this team. Um, I'm not positive I want to work for sure on Hyperloop. I think at this point in my career, I'm not super picky at all. I just sort of like when I joined the club, I just want to make sure I'm working on something new. But I could definitely see myself working on Hyperloop. It would be really neat to work. I don't know if you're aware, but like Transpod, they did like a
Mhm.
memorandum of, yeah, everyone knows what, and
Yeah.
it's cool because like I'm from Edmonton, so to be able to actually
Mhm.
just make that at home, I think would be super, super cool. So yeah, solid maybe.
Maybe. I mean, that's a good answer because and no one knows about the future.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Mhm. Well, the next question is, what is a memorable story from your Hyperloop experience?
Yeah, so this actually, I had some trouble coming up with this because I feel like,
Hmm.
I don't know, it's a lot of just like, Google Meets and like working
Yeah.
on docs. But one thing was actually we were planning on making this for the CHC. I think we misunderstood what the virtual showcase was going to be pretty hard.
Okay.
So we put together this video of like Alberta's opinion on Hyperloop. So we went around on campus and we just asked random people on the street that were willing to let us film them what they thought of Hyperloop or if they were aware of it. And I think all of us were really shocked by how aware people were and how excited they were. I was thinking it was sort of a more niche topic, but especially at like the U of A, most people know what it is. And also knew partially about the whole Edmonton-Calgary connection thing. So I think that was really notable, and it was really encouraging to us as a team getting to see that public interest. So yeah, I would say that's probably a memorable story. There'll probably be more as we start to physically build our pod, I suppose. I think other Albertaloop members, because I'm working remotely right now, would probably have some more, but yeah, that's one of them.
Thank you. The next question is, what are some failures you endured through Hyperloop, and how has it changed you?
Yeah, so I wouldn't say as a team we've had many major failures yet. I'm positive they're to come. But yeah, that's mainly just because a lot of our work has been online. So it's like, okay, if we did something wrong, really there's no risk yet. Yeah. But now we're getting to a point where we're actually ordering parts and spending money. So I'm sure we're gonna have one. But yeah, I'd say mainly as far as failures go, just being behind schedule, I suppose. It's been hard with COVID because we couldn't have in-person activities with like school wouldn't let us. And we also, since we were such a new team, it's not like we had much to work off of previously when COVID started. So yeah, mainly just for sure being behind schedule. But I'm also really grateful, I suppose, for this experience with kind of chugging along with little positive results for a long time, because I thought I was good at persevering, but I don't actually think I was now looking back, because it really is a skill being able to continue working along with no positive feedback for a long time. And I think that's true. If you take on like entrepreneurial ventures or are just doing anything that's new on your own, I think that's something that you have to get used to. So I think it's been really valuable for our team having to sort of experience that, as much as it can be frustrating. So yeah, no major failures, but just being behind schedule mainly.
Yeah, totally get that. Yeah. So now we're going to move on for future for Hyperloop questions. So the first one is, how will Hyperloop change our lives in infrastructure, transportation, business, or architecture, or more?
Yeah, so yeah, like I said before, I know for me it feels like I always have zero time, and I think we live in such an interconnected world. Even like the conversations we're having right now, they wouldn't have been possible with without this technology. That's true. I'm assuming you're in Ontario or Canada. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think Hyperloop is going to do a similar thing to what the internet did, but on a more physical level. Because obviously this isn't quite the same as if we were having coffee together or sitting across the table. So yeah, I think it'll connect us in a physical rather than virtual way, which is sort of foreign to us as humans. And yeah, I mean, that's also assuming it's going to be quite affordable for most people. The transpod model, they were saying it probably would be, but it's hard to say. But I think overall, especially as it progresses over time, it'll definitely just connect the world in a more physical way.
Yeah, that's true.
And obviously the climate change thing, it'd be a really awesome option for really large distance travel compared to like planes or cars.
That's true. So do you think that you would see the first Hyperloop transportation? If so, when do you think this would happen?
Yeah, I believe so. I think this is a hard question for me to answer in my position, because as much as I've thought about Hyperloop a lot, I think a lot of the challenge lies in the infrastructure required for Hyperloop rather than the pod itself. Like, I haven't really thought much about the vacuum tube. I probably should, but most of my focus has been on the pod, where most of the technology has already been developed, obviously. Yeah. So yeah, for me, I think it's hard to say in my position. but with so much, I think, collective effort and interest from humanity on this idea, I don't really see it fizzling out anytime soon. I would love to see it happen sometime in my lifetime. It's also really encouraging seeing the work of like Virgin Hyperloop, Transpod, all these other companies that have made huge progress in making this stuff happen. So yeah, I believe so. I think we will see it in our lifetime, or at least something like it. Really high speed rail.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully, it'd be super
Yeah.
cool.
So the last question for future of Hyperloop is, what are some unsolved challenges when it comes to Hyperloop that you wished was talked about more?
Yeah. So what I thought of for this, I think this is another difficult one for us as student groups, because I think based on the nature of the SpaceX Hyperloop competition, our focus has always been more on the pod. But one concern I personally have is the depressurization safety issue. Like, what would happen to people in the pods if, for any reason, the track depressurizes? Say, like a car hits a pillar holding it up, or even something like, it could be an orchestrated attack or something. For any reason, how would we make it so that not every single person in the Hyperloop line is like injured, right? Because you're also traveling at massive speeds. So yeah, I wish we'd talk about it more. I've heard some things, like, I think I asked this question to Transpod when we had a joint event with them, that it sounds like, all these companies, they are thinking about this issue, and they're trying their best, but I'm not really positive how they're going to solve it. I think they said maybe it would be isolated sections of track. So if one depressurizes, it'll close that section quickly enough so only people in that section would be affected by that. But I don't know, it'll be really complicated, I think, making that work. And I'm excited to see how we confront that issue in the future. It's really interesting.
Yeah, that's a good point you brought up.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, we're almost done, and we're on the last few questions. So the other one is, what is CHC, and what is your role regards to CHC?
I don't have a huge role with the CHC personally. I think I'm the president of one of the member groups. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a question, I suppose.
It's okay. Do you see a future of CHC to be?
Yeah, one thing I noted that I really appreciate about the CHC is the equality / empowerment value that you guys hold. And I think you guys really exemplify that value in your conduct. And yeah, I don't know, I just think it's really cool how you guys make your events so that pretty much every person interested is encouraged to do what they can. And yeah, also just, I don't know, I think it's really cool how accommodating you guys are and friendly. And I like the idea of a more collaborative event amongst Hyperloop teams in Canada. So I really appreciate that. And I see the future of CHC, kind of, as I said, being the creation of a collaborative environment, which sort of nurtures innovation amongst students. I think it's really encouraging, especially during COVID. CHC has been such a nice thing, because it's like, yeah, I don't know, you guys are just a bit more forgiving, I suppose, than previous and other design competitions, which is really cool.
Yeah, we're like more open, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And also I really appreciate, like, you guys seek out input from us and how your decisions affect the actual design teams, which I think is also really awesome. So yeah, I don't know, I think you guys are pretty great. Huge fan.
Thank you. The director will appreciate this. Well, moving on, what would you recommend to a new team member, to a new member of CHC or in Hyperloop in general?
Yeah, so one thing I would say for sure is, don't be afraid to think out of the box. I think we saw, especially out of the SpaceX competition, a lot of really impressive technology, but closer to the end, things were becoming more, I think, like a lot of the pods were quite similar to one another in size, shape, design. So I think one thing I'd say is, don't be afraid to think out of the box. It's such a new technology. There's so much space for changes and improvement. So definitely don't try not to get stuck trying to imitate other designs. And yeah, just prepare to learn a lot and persevere. It's hard with a lot of this technology we're trying to develop, and sometimes, I know at my school, There's a lot of technology required for Hyperloop that isn't actually offered in, for example, like an undergraduate engineering education. So, you know, if things will go slow sometimes and it's going to take a while to learn, but definitely just know that it's hard to develop new technology, but it's possible. And try to remember how cool it is too. Like, have the end goal in mind always.
Yeah. Well, that's a good tip for future members or current members. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. If you were to advertise involvement in the Hyperloop community to a new individual, what would you tell them?
Yeah. So I would say I think it's just a really excellent opportunity to learn and understand how a complex engineering project comes together. And that's not necessarily just for engineers and scientists. That could also be for, you know, a business team member. I think just the interconnectedness of Hyperloop and how many people are required to bring it together makes it a really interesting opportunity for learning. So yeah, I would say that's what's really, really valuable about it. And it's something that you don't really pick up in the classroom, I think, because a lot of times stuff's laid out so that it's like possible to do within a reasonable amount of time. So with working on a project like this, and probably any, you know, student design project, you have to kind of learn how to stick things together in a way that isn't obvious or convenient in any way. So I'd say, yeah, that's a really good learning opportunity with Hyperloop.
Yeah, that is. How are you feeling about CHC events that we're holding?
Yeah, I think really good. I think, you know, I know Albertaloop, we're not the only team in this position, but we never actually competed in a SpaceX competition. So having these preliminary online events to sort of let us dip our feet in the water rather than just throwing ourselves into the actual competition this summer has been really awesome for us, and getting to talk in a collaborative environment has been really good. So yeah, so far I'm a really huge fan. I like the virtual events, and I'm really excited for the testing events.
That's good to hear. So for closing remarks, what would you like to tell the reader of this interview? Anything you would like to tell the reader?
Yeah, just thank you so much for listening. Yeah, I really like the Canadian Hyperloop Conference. I wish them the best, and I really appreciate the work you guys are putting in to make this happen. And yeah, to follow Albertaloop's progress, just follow us on our social medias. We'll be releasing stuff about sort of what we do. But yeah, thank you so much for interviewing me today. This is really awesome.
No, thank you, Shelby, for the interview and giving out your time. We will soon edit a vlog and the video, and I can send it to you so you can watch it and preview it. Yeah.
Sounds good. Well, thank you so much. It was really nice meeting you.
Me too. Thank you so much. CHC really appreciates this.
Oh, no, yeah, no worries. Thank you guys.
I hope you have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.